CSU Rams football doesn't need another Deion Sanders. The winds of change are howling once again through Fort Collins, and this time, the echoes are loud enough to shake the bleachers at Canvas Stadium. Jay Norvell is out as head coach of the Colorado State Rams, and with his departure comes the inevitable question that hovers over every football program desperate for identity and direction. Where do we go from here? The temptation, of course, is to chase the sparkle, to look at what Deion Sanders has done across the state in Boulder and wonder if lightning can strike twice. Sanders has turned Colorado football into a spectacle that commands national headlines, dominates recruiting conversations, and fills stadiums with a buzz unseen in decades. His arrival turned a once-forgotten program into a cultural movement. Every school in America watching from afar feels that magnetic pull. Can we get our own Coach Prime? But here's the truth, and the heart of the matter for CSU. There's only one Deion Sanders. The mirage of the next Coach Prime. Celebrity coaching hires are college football's version of a Hail Mary pass. Beautiful when it works, disastrous when it doesn't. For every Deion Sanders who brings charisma, recruiting firepower, and media magnetism, there's a long line of fallen stars whose names alone couldn't save them. Consider the cautionary tales. Bill Belichick, if ever lured into the college ranks, would drown in drama before success. Trent Dilfer was fired after a 9-21 record at UAB. Eddie George is still finding his footing at Bowling Green, and Deshaun Jackson, though promising at Delaware State, remains unproven. The appeal of fame is easy to understand. Fans dream of a camera flash miracle, a personality so powerful it resurrects a struggling program overnight. But celebrity alone doesn't build culture, recruit depth, or develop discipline. Deion Sanders was not a gamble for Colorado. He was a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. A Pro Football Hall of Famer with the kind of swagger that made ESPN redesign its highlight reels around him. He didn't just bring his sons, Shadur and Shiloh Sanders. He brought national eyes, branding power, and an unwavering belief that he could make Colorado football relevant again. No other coach in America could replicate that exact formula, and CSU would be foolish to try. The Rams' crossroads. When Norvell was officially relieved of duties, the move didn't shock anyone paying attention. The tension had been building for weeks. Awkward press conferences, uncomfortable silences, and a growing sense that the marriage had run its course. Norvell's downfall wasn't about effort or heart. It was about evolution. He came to CSU promising the air raid, a high-flying offense that would light up the scoreboard. Instead, the Rams delivered inconsistency and frustration. Too many penalties, too many turnovers, too few wins. By the end, even Norvell's greatest strengths, his decency, his loyalty, his old-school approach, had turned into liabilities in a sport that refuses to stand still. College football has become a revolving door of player movement, nil deals, and instant expectations. Norvell, ever the traditionalist, couldn't adapt fast enough. He hated the transactional side of modern football, the agents, the portal politics, the money machines. But those forces now define the landscape. Refusing to adapt meant falling behind, no matter how pure your intentions. CSU's next coach can't just be good. He has to be current. The search for CSU's Niko Medved. If the Rams leadership, particularly athletic director John Weber, wants to turn the football program around, they shouldn't chase another celebrity. They should look across campus at what Niko Medved has done with CSU men's basketball. Medved didn't rely on flash or fame. He built his success on three old-fashioned but eternally effective principles: hard work, vision, and authenticity. He out-recruited programs with more money. He outcoached opponents with more talent. And most importantly, he made CSU basketball matter again. That's what the football program needs: a rising star, not a recycled headline. Someone with tactical brilliance, modern sensibilities, and emotional intelligence. A coach who can inspire without posturing. a builder who sees CSU not as a stepping stone, but as a canvas. Enter Colin Klein. The case for Colin Klein. At just 36, Klein has the makings of the next big thing in college football coaching. A Loveland High School product turned Kansas State Heisman Trophy finalist. He's the definition of local talent done good. Currently serving as offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, Klein has quietly been orchestrating one of the most dynamic attacks in college football. His Aggies' offense this season is averaging 36 points and 464 yards per game, built on balance, creativity, and fearlessness. He's not a nostalgic pick like Mike Bobo or a retread from the Mountain West circuit. Klein is fresh energy, a coach who understands both the X's and O's and the culture surrounding them. He's called plays under legends like Bill Snyder and led championship-caliber units for Chris Kleiman, guiding Kansas State to a Big 12 title in 2022. And perhaps most importantly for CSU, Klein knows Colorado. He's lived here, recruited here, and understands the state's football heartbeat. In an era where in-state recruiting is increasingly overlooked, Klein could reopen those doors that former coaches left bolted shut. No, CSU can't build an empire on Colorado prep products alone. But you can craft the foundation, the offensive line, the linebacker core, the culture from local soil. And that's something Klein instinctively understands. The harsh reality of CSU's position. Let's be honest. CSU is a good job, not a great one. It's a program with strong facilities, loyal fans, and a promising recruiting region. But it's also a program trapped between tiers, playing catch-up in an ecosystem that's growing more unforgiving by the day. The Rams' upcoming move into the reshaped Pac-12 may sound like an upgrade, but without the historic powerhouses, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, it's more of a lateral shift, a Mountain West plus. Among that new mix, CSU might be the fourth best job at best. Boise State still owns the region's strongest football brand. Oregon State and Washington State have deeper coffers. And while CSU's facilities rival anyone's, its results on the field remain inconsistent. Meanwhile, the broader landscape of college football is working against programs like CSU. The Big Ten and SEC treat the Big 12 and ACC like feeder leagues, and those conferences, in turn, raid the Group of Five. When television money dictates every move, instability becomes the only constant. So CSU faces a choice. Pull a Colorado, turn the entire athletic department into a media spectacle, betting on star power and social influence. Double down on fundamentals, the Niko Medved model. Build organically, recruit relentlessly, develop relentlessly. Win your league, then win your reputation. Learning from Norvell's fall. Jay Norvell's failure wasn't catastrophic. It was incremental. CSU didn't collapse under scandal or dysfunction. It simply never ascended. His teams had talent. Torrey Horton and Emo Kamara were arguably the best offensive and defensive players in the Mountain West. But football is a game of details, and CSU too often lost the details. Penalties killed drives, turnovers killed momentum, and missed opportunities, like the heartbreaking double overtime loss to Colorado last September, defined his tenure. If the Rams had held on that night, the trajectory of both programs might look different today. Instead, Colorado surged and CSU stagnated. Norvell's insistence on calling plays himself, even as game management faltered, symbolized his greatest flaw. He couldn't delegate. He couldn't evolve fast enough to meet the sport's new realities. By the time he hired a general manager to handle nil and roster management, it was too little, too late. The transfer portal became a revolving door, with talented players like Boom Jock, Gabe Kirsch, Newer Gatquath, Chase Wilson, and Caleb Goody leaving for bigger programs. Norvell wasn't a failure of character. He was a casualty of time. The future CSU needs to build. CSU's path forward must be about identity, not imitation. The Rams don't need a Deion Sanders. They need their own Colin Klein, a builder, a modern thinker, a coach who understands how to merge innovation with stability. Klein fits the mold of what modern programs crave: youthful energy, tactical creativity, and emotional connection. He's the kind of coach who makes 18-year-olds believe, 20-year-olds improve, and alumni buy back in. Because for CSU, the goal isn't just to win headlines. It's to win Saturdays, to dominate the restructured Pac-12, to turn Canvas Stadium into a fortress again, to make the Rams a name whispered with respect, not pity. The closing call. When Terrell Davis was asked earlier this year if he'd ever follow in Deion's footsteps and try coaching, he smiled and said, "Never say never, but highly unlikely." Fair enough, but CSU should still make the call. Explore the possibilities. Chase ambition. Just don't chase illusion. Because there's only one Deion Sanders, and he's already spoken for. The Rams need someone else. Their own visionary, their own builder, their own believer. Call Colin Klein before somebody else does.